I know what people are going to say. People are going to be like, oh, when you guys don't get represented, it's a problem. When you guys do get represented, they didn't do it right. Yes. Yes. And what are you going to do about it? Like, I'm tired of seeing our representation be close to nothing unless it's somebody who has light skin. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Missy, if you guys are new here. In today's video, I just wanted to touch on the BET Awards. To be honest with you guys, I had something completely different to talk about today because I didn't think I would be covering the BET Awards. I feel like the BET Awards has been lackluster for the past 5 years. So it's just not something that I've been interested in talking about because I just see it as plain old boring lately. There's just a lot I feel like that can be done to improve the nature of the BET Awards, and I feel like every year when people come on platforms like YouTube and other social media apps and they talk about the things that they're disappointed in with the BET Awards, nothing ever changes. But this year, I just didn't happen to see a lot of people talking about the things that I observed and the things that I thought were a little bit peculiar and I kind of found issue with. So I just thought, why not just come on here and do a little complaining? Nothing wrong with a little complaining, a little nagging. So let's get into it. I've noticed that there's been a lot of conversation about the hosting, about the award recipients, about the award presenters, the outfits on the carpet. People were complaining about a lot of things. And like I said, this has been something that has been going on for years. Like year after year, people have an issue with who is being nominated, who is receiving the awards, who was presenting the awards, the performances. People just have issues with a lot that's going on. I think there were more complaints than usual when it came to what people were wearing this year than any other year because we were not being for real this year. I don't know what some of those outfits were, but of course to each their own. But I think that's where I observed the most complaining. That along with people having issues with the way that Taraji hosted this year. Obviously we all saw the whole Keith Lee, is that his name? We all saw the whole Keith Lee and Taraji thing that happened. It wasn't really something that I thought I needed to talk about. I mean, we all know what happened and we all know Keith Lee was being a little corny, but what else is there to say about this? I did enjoy a lot of the show, like Tiana Taylor, Keke Palmer. I was really happy to see them on stage because I just love the way that they perform. Victoria Monet, I had never seen her perform before, but she was awesome. I didn't enjoy the lip syncing, but it was a really, really good performance. Other than that, obviously Lauryn Hill killed it. There were definitely parts of the show that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was just annoying to see how many mics were literally off. It was annoying. Now I do want to be really careful as I dive into this commentary. Just because I know it's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. I feel like a lot of people are gonna feel like I'm reaching here, and I feel like that's okay. We all view the world differently, and my lens will not be the same as yours. The way that I see things, you're not gonna see things in the exact same way, and that's okay. My opinion is still valid, and the way that I see things is still very much valid. So I want to preface this a little bit by talking about Rihanna's photo shoot with Dazed as well as Tyla's photo shoot with Dazed. It's so funny because when I saw both of those photo shoots, right, I definitely noticed the similarities between them, but I didn't put two and two together that those two photo shoots came from the same magazine, possibly the same photographers. I think it's just strange to me, and I feel like Dazed and I need to just have a talk in the back alley because why is it that there is this theme with these artists where you guys are putting them in a lighting where it seems like you're trying to center their light skinness? It almost even seems like they look even lighter in the picture. And the dark skin models around them seem like they're edited to look even darker, to look almost like shadows, to look like their only purpose there is to shine light on the artist. Now, I understand that the point of photography for celebrities, artists, influencers, and stuff is to make them look good, is to make them the center of attention. But it just doesn't really sit right when we see this happening with dark skin and light skin people, because it actually reinforces ideas that we're trying to walk away from. It looks very colorist, to say the least. And if you guys go ahead and watch Mayowa's World, she made such an amazing video about how those photo shoots reinforce these colorist ideals and how they resemble pictures from back in the day where dark skinned people were holding up umbrellas for light skinned people, and it just looks very strange. I think it just sends across a harmful message. Even though they try to be subtle about it, it still sends across that message that dark skinned people are the background and the shadows, and they're only there to assist in shining the light. The light is being shown onto these light skinned people. But I talked about that and I said all of that just to say that what I'm describing here is something that I noticed to happen at the BET Awards, not just this year, but years prior to this. But this year I was really sitting there with my analytical lenses on. I was really trying to be critical of what I was watching and to be mindful of the way the music was being presented to me, the way the performances were being performed. Obviously, we kind of have to look at this at a case by case basis, because clearly it wasn't happening with every single artist, every single performance. But when it did happen to me, it was quite obvious, and it just wasn't something that was pleasant to look at. It just didn't sit right with me. Now, let me just say that the main artist that I saw this happening with is Latto. To me, her performance was lackluster, not even just in the sense that I feel like there was a centering of light skin. It was also because I just didn't think she performed that well. I don't really have the expertise on Latto performances to be like, oh, she could have done so much better. But like, even from little snippets that I've seen on TikTok or like with short form content of her performing, it just seems like she usually has more energy. It just gives more. And to me, this performance just didn't give, regardless of what was going on that was problematic. Let's just get into this performance. So Latto was sitting there in the beginning of her performance doing this, like, I guess kind of like moment for life type of vibe. Like, she's kind of giving a, inspirational rap style in the beginning where she's talking about how far she's come. It seems like she's, trying to motivate the people, trying to talk about something more than shaking ass, right? I liked that rap in the beginning. I thought it was cool. I thought it showed that she is multidimensional, even though we've seen it before that Latto's capable of talking about more than what some of these other female artists seem to be capable of talking about. Like, people like Ice Spice. Though surprisingly, when it came to Ice Spice, I didn't have as many complaints about her performance as I did about others. Like, I feel like she had really high energy. Clearly the choreography is always gonna leave a little bit more to desire. When it comes to Ice Spice, she's not the best dancer. She's just not the best performer, but I think it's one of her better performances. So I'm not gonna sit here, trash the girl, and complain. And also, I didn't really observe all the problematic shit that I observed with Latto's. And I think it kind of started with the beginning. I don't have much to say about the middle to ending of her performance, but the beginning of it, I feel like really set the tone. And I don't think it was cute. I didn't like the fact that she was sitting there doing her little inspirational rap, and then she had these two black girls serving her, and then she even like does the like hand waving gesture at one point. It just looks like they're in servitude to her. And I feel like it's an okay dynamic to have you being served on stage for your performance, but I don't understand why people don't think it's weird when they do things like this. Like, it's just so weird when you look at like a black space and how much it like glorifies people who are like either mixed or extremely light skinned, because it's like it's a black space that's meant to uplift black people. Dark skinned people are literally the original black people. dark skinned people, kinky hair, they're the original black phenotype. Yet it seems like we're always the ones who are in the shadows, who are like in the background, not worthy of the actual spotlight, even on a black platform. And I know that it's like, okay, BET is not really black owned anymore. It's owned by Viacom. And maybe that's the reason why there's so much just problematic shit going on at the BET Awards. But it's like we were seeing stuff like this happen before as well. I feel like BET has a long history of just issues and things that need to be fixed. And I don't even want to get into that. But I just thought that this performance, Latto, it didn't give. It didn't give. I didn't like that. I didn't like how you could barely see their faces. Like, look at how I took this screenshot and look at how well lit Latto is in the front, and then they're serving her like shadows, like literally slaves in the background. Like, I didn't like the feeling or the look of it. And we all know how Latto, I don't want to say that she like glorifies the fact that she has light skin, but for you to come out and have a name like Mulatto, clearly it's like not something that you shy away from. I'm not saying she should shy away from being mixed race or being light skinned or anything like that, but it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you see that somebody is like naming themselves mulatto, which is like we all know that there's like historical meaning behind that name. And then she changes her name to Latto, but then we still see shit like this going on, and it's like, do you not understand the meaning behind this? Like, what is the point of acting like you've progressed? Meanwhile, you haven't. It just didn't. I don't know. You guys let me know if I'm reaching or not. Now, I did also notice with Tanner's performance, Tanner Adele's performance. While I did enjoy the performance, I didn't really know of her before, so it was cool to see her. It was cool to see her. It was cool to hear her song. Experience something new. But at the same time, I didn't like the way that they had these black girls as like her little background. Like I know what people are gonna say. People are gonna be like, "Oh, when you guys don't get represented, it's a problem. When you guys do get represented, they didn't do it right." Yes, yes. And what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Yes, you're right. We do not get represented, and then when we do, it's always like they're spitting in our face. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that Flo Millie didn't perform. Maybe she just didn't want to perform. Like, I don't know the fucking ins and outs of everything. But it's like, we didn't even see that many performances from like dark skinned women. Like, I'm talking about solo. Like, of course, we saw Kiki Palmer. Of course, we saw Tiana Taylor. But it's like, I'm talking about like solo performances with their own art, showcasing their own art. Because we know Flo Millie had a bunch of dope songs out this year and last year, and there were things that she could have performed. If Ice Spice could have performed, Flo Millie could have performed, but at the end of the day, she didn't. Maybe she didn't want to, maybe she was never asked, but that would have been really nice to see. And then we see these dark skinned people who appear in the show, but they're always the backgrounds to light skinned people on a black platform meant to uplift black people. Like, the dynamics are weird. And I guess you could say I'm like reaching if I wasn't talking about BET and I was talking about something else and I was talking about MTV, maybe you could be like, "Oh, you're reaching. They were the background dancers." Da 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 da. No, but when it comes to BET, I feel like why didn't you have multiple different skin tones behind you? Like, why is it that you're the light one, all the attention's on me, and everyone in the background is dark skinned and they're like shadows to me? Like, these people are never even like well lit. Like, I don't like the way that they do stuff like this. It doesn't look good. Like, even with T.I.'s daughter's performance with Van Van, I feel like Van Van could be heard at the beginning of the performance and everything. So I'm not gonna say that like she didn't have any part to play and she was just a sidekick. But it definitely appeared like she was there to be T.I.'s daughter, Harris's sidekick. Like it was giving sidekick. Because we saw how like when Van Van was singing and when Van Van was rapping and stuff, we could see that like Harris was also involved. Like the other kids in the background were also involved. But then she didn't really get a solo where she got to like, sing and like, really get into it by herself the way that Harris did. And then even that was like, okay, so the dark skin girl is what? Harris's sidekick? Like Van Van has a lot of clout too. Like she gets noticed all over the place. Like it's not giving. Like it's not giving. The way I don't like the way that they did things this year. And like I said, I never like the way they did. I never like the way that they do things at the BET Awards, but this year I felt like I had to complain. So here I am. Like I'm tired of seeing our representation be close to nothing unless it's somebody who has light skin. Like I'm just tired of it. I feel like it's something that really needs to be fixed within our community, and it's us. Like we're the ones who need to fix it. Like it's not something that I feel like we need to be looking up at other races to do. I think it's something that we need to fix ourselves. Like even when you think about the fact that it seems like so many people are fiending to call Tyla black, it's like you guys want her to be our representation or something, and it's like the girl is South African. She makes great music. She's a great performer. She's beautiful. Just leave it at that. Does she have to be black too? Like, can you not support her if she's not black? You can support her. She's just not a representation for us black Americans. And is that okay? That's okay. We have enough light skinned people representing us already, in my opinion, that it's like, what are we even fighting for here? Like, we know that black people come in all different shades and all different tones, but we can also realize that certain roles are reserved or appear to be reserved for a certain look with a few tokens sprinkled here and there. Like, this is erasure. To me, that's what it is. To me, this whole thing just speaks volumes about our world. It speaks volumes about, the platforms that represent us as black people. And while we've come a long way, I still feel like we have so much work to do. But as always, I want to hear you guys' opinions. So please leave me a comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to make it to monetization at this point. Like we're trying to push here. So please subscribe if you feel like it, if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.